Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nazatul Izana binti Nazaruddin. My metric number is 19124028. France is a country in Western Europe known as the French Republic. France is one of the most important countries in the Western world historically and culturally. Has also played an important role in international politics with former colonies around the globe. France has consistently operated as an economic, geographic and linguistic connection between Southern and Northern Europe. France being bordered by the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, as well as the Alps and Pyrenees. On top of that, France also known as one of the world's most powerful industrial nation and Europe's largest agricultural producer. Next, I'm going to explain about national culture largest agricultural producer. Next, I'm going to explain about national culture background analysis. National culture background analysis refers to the norms, behavior, belief, and value share of the group of population. National culture refers to the specific characteristic of nation, such as a language, ethnic, religion, and cultural history. Based on national culture background of France, Catholicism is the main religion in France. According to a survey that has been conducted by the French Institute of Public Opinion (IFOP), it shows that 64% of the population of France, which is about 41.6 million people, are identified as a Roman Catholic, while other religions such as Islam, Judaism, Buddhism are among the various religions followed in France. Other than that, according to the CIA, between 33% and 42% of French people do not follow a religion, despite the fact that France maintains a tradition of secularism and has not officially collected data on religious affiliation since the 1872 national census, which is complicated assessments of France's religion composition. France is one of the world's oldest nations. It comes up from a Middle Ages coalition of duchies and principalities united under a single king. Even if the country region have been granted some autonomy in recent decades, central authority remains vested in the state, as it was in the era. The French people regard the state as the principal protector of liberty, and the state responds by providing a generous range of support their citizens. This is including healthcare, free education, and pension programs for their citizens. In the Age of Enlightenment and the French Revolution, France was also prominent in governance and civic affairs by providing the globe with essential democratic principles and encouraging the growth of reformist and even revolutionary forces for years. Since its declaration on 28 September 1958, the current Fifth Republic has had noteworthy stability, typified by tremendous increase in private initiative and the establishment of centrist politics, despite long-running disagreement with other European countries and on occasions with its longtime ally, the United States. France emerged as a leading member of the European Union (EU) and its predecessor. In the Age of Enlightenment, France was not prominent in governance and civil affairs, imparting key democratic principles to the world. France did not participate in North Atlantic Treaty Organization, known as NATO, integrated military structure from 1966 to 1965, retaining total control over its own air, ground, and naval forces. Start on 1965, France was represented on the NATO Military Command, and on 2009, French President Nicolas Sarkozy announced that the country will rejoin the organization military command. France is known as one of the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council include, together with other countries such as United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, and China. These countries has the right to veto any resolution brought before the Council. Paris is the capital and the most important city of France. It is one of the world's most historic cultural and commercial centers. Paris is labeled the City of Light, has been made over numerous times, most notably in the mid 19th century under the direction of George Eugene and Baron Haussmann, who was dedicated to Napoleon III's visions of modern city free of the choleric swamps and contagious alleys of old, with broad avenue and a regular plan. Despite the fact that Paris has grown into a massive metropolis and one of Europe's largest conurbations.
I'm Tishan Sivakumar and I'm going to talk about culture and historical analysis of France. Culture is an attribute of community of individuals that is determined by anything from their language of their region to their way of life. Culture is a broad base that incorporates people, culture, behavior pattern, policies and conventions including the understanding, opinion, traits, regulation, convention, attribute and traditional of the people who from such civilization. Individuals in various communities have diverse culture, although there are some commonalities. Although France is a core of the French culture in terms of appearance, gastronomy, hard work, as well as design extends beyond as the town is highly diverse by area. Not only does French contain culture, however, the term culture itself is also French. As per Arthur Asperger, the praise culture comes from the French concept that comes from either Latin culture, that means to care towards the crown as well as flourish or growth or nurturing. France seems to have a significant role in film, styles, food, poetry, architecture, sociology, and physics since the late 19th century. The exportation of French philosophy and gastronomy, clothing, music, hard work, and cinema has brought French culture towards the rest of the globe for centuries. French culture relevance had risen and fall over throughout the years, based upon the country's financial, social, and political status. Historical events has influenced French culture development as well. Several events in historical have influenced culture throughout the last 4 centuries. Culture and history represent two intertwined themes in the formation its on itself. Although since 17th century, more especially that since late 19th century, France and particularly Paris has figured prominently as a global hub of high culture. Historically, Catholic and Gallo-Roman tradition, including to the France and the Germany group, touched French culture. French has been described as the Rhineland region of Germany, but somehow it eventually evolved to related a province identified as Gaul throughout the Iron Age as well as the ancient Roman period. Throughout the Middle Ages, a rich culture emerged, supported especially by Buddhists and scientists in institution and college and bolstered by regular and empirical assistance long throughout in 18th century. Culture grew increasingly widely available beginning in the early 70s as an economic capitalism emerged. This will be a period of investigation and questioning the era of revaluation. The revaluation culture was based on the rational and logical argument, which has been replicated in the French Revolution as theorist Alex de Tocqueville observed. Minister of Culture also playing a major role in culture development of France over the years. The Minister of Culture is usually in charge of culture policies. This normally involve hard policies that is direct and indirect assistance for performance in culture organization as well as the effort to maintain a national traditional and culture identity. On such duty is frequently done out by associate department which really is responsible for keeping an authoritative registration of shield historical monument as well as other cultural significant spot preserving national record of the time and culture, such as Exhibition Hall, Art Museum, and Resource Center, establishing an agency of Ministry of Culture or even the culture activities, and also establishing Art Council that relocates funds to performance and cultural activity organizations. Religion influenced culture since religious people engage in implementation of culture in which they live. Conversely, since religion and religious group exist inside a certain community, religious faiths and execution are shaped by the culture. France is a liberal society with a diverse religious landscape. Its variety can be attributed to a national commitment to religious and philosophical freedom. Ever since 1972 demographic survey, France has maintained a religious culture of secularism, but has not yet publicly gathered statistics on religious connecting. Furthermore, art is significant in culture since it has the ability to make a connection among racially diverse religious and intellectual and racial communities. These arts are broad category of culture that encompass a wide range of artistic undertaking and specialties. It has the ability to communicate universal idea, qualities, and ethic which we can all comprehend and experience. The visual and material art covering French construction, handicraft, fabric, and pottery that belong in a geographical theory of France are referred to as French art. In France, there is a profound awareness and also affection for something like the arts. Into its academical, technical, culture and fiscal quality as well as its formation of culture identification, the French state has historically contributed a lot in fostering and sustaining culture. Culture development in France are frequently related to or provoke civil conflict due to intervention of such connection. The French state and culture have a long history together. The autonomous French Academy fell within government supervision, has become an established institution of authority over the French language in 17th century. The French state is divided upon the incorporation of culture practice of current immigration group and alien culture, notably American culture to a French culture. Also, there is a concern about the loss of country inside the European Union. Fashion is a significant topic in French culture and also an essential aspect of the national economy. Ever since the 15th century, fashion design and construction have developed increasingly famous. Fashion developed into a thriving market in the 17th century, both for a trade and also a domestic purpose. Fashion evolved in a specialized in the 19th century with the contemporary pace of Arthur Koestler established in 1860s, introducing high culture to fashionable language. Beginning in the mid-19th century, France then became a centerpiece of bargaining industry, centered on creating clothes from the greater, costly, and mostly extraordinary clothes, stitched with the utmost precision and completely by most skill and suitable of weaver. In today's world, France is frequently referred to as the globe's fashionable center. Family is an also important aspect in French culture development. French value their strong bonding and they are vital aspect of French culture. The family was long thought of to be primary unit of French society, arising from Catholic Church and community in rural area tradition. Its conventional family system in French emerged during the 20th century from a variety of religious ties, such as extended family as well as nuclear household. That form has altered in later date to predominantly reprint nuclear family, along with the variants such as single parents. Meals play a major role in culture of France. The love of meal has a high importance in traditional French culture. French cuisine is made up of French culinary belief and culture. Its food is inspired by numerous neighboring cultures of Portugal, Germany, and Belgium over the age. In the conjunction to own cooking history alone. Mealtimes are a wonderful time to connect since the food is prepared with extra attention. The significance of meal also a political component.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Anwalwi bin Barudin and I'm from 22B. Okay, today I want to talk about the national cultural activities. For hundreds of years, the export of French ideas, cuisine, fashion, literature, art and film has transported French culture to the rest of the world. As the largest Western European nation and one of the region's top economies, France continues to be a force on the European continent. Modern Western culture has been influenced by rationalist, democratic and libertarian concepts developed in France during the Enlightenment period. The French are often formal and courteous individuals who value contemporary cultures, originality and intellectualism. And the second one is the identity and diversity in France. For many people, being French is a possessive French citizenship and displaying the values and behaviors that characterize French culture. Liberté, égalité, and fraternité is widely viewed as a key to what it means to be a French person. Because they value equality and fraternity, many people feel the French are a united and undivided people. Many people are rethinking what it means to be a French person on a personal level. especially in light of the EU's enlargement and the influx of immigrants. And the third one is about interaction and behavior. French society prioritize the interests of the person and his or her immediate family. Appropriate engagement is often determined by whether or not a person is a member of one's social circle. In France, there are several subtle social customs. The French are formal and respectful when dealing with persons outside of their social group. One example is the contrast between vous and tu in the French language. Okay. French as a second language. The official and most widely spoken language in France is French. French was formerly the world's most widely used diplomatic language with speakers on 4 continents. It is presently the second most widely learned foreign language on the planet. French are very proud of their language, which is often linked into their national identity. Individuals who want to join the People French and become citizens of the country must be proficient in French. In the face of the globalization and the immigrant of American culture, the French language is seen as a crucial component in preserving a unique French identity. Indeed, the rise of the English language prompted French sadness and disappointment since it signaled the end of the France's worldwide dominance. Okay, and others is about the greetings in form. When meeting someone in France, even if it's a stranger, it's customary to say bonjour or bonsoir, which is a good morning and good evening. When entering a doctor's office, for example, it's traditionally to say bonjour to individuals in the waiting area. When entering a tiny store, shop, or cafe, you should do the same thing, which is say bonjour. When addressing or attempting to capture the attention of someone you don't know, start the discussion with bonjour, madam. There is no need or expect for a last name. For example, if you ride on a city bus and wish to purchase a ticket, say bonjour. Okay, and then greetings formally. Anyone who is even somewhat acquainted with French culture would recognize the double or also triple kisses the French place on others' cheeks in welcome, which is like, okay, la bise is the name for this kiss. When greeting male and female friends or being presented to a new person in a social context, women usually offer la bise. All female friends and their closest male friends get la bise, otherwise they shake hands. When visiting friends for the first time, follow the example of a French person you're meeting. But in general, ladies should be prepared to fight la bise, give the kiss in non-business situation. Men should expect to shake hands with other men, but women should expect to be kids. And distinctions in terms of economics and geography. In France, there are 2 key variables that influence social stratification. The first kind of social class is one financial situation. People's social status is frequently evident in their taste in music, art, cuisine, and recreational activities. The bourgeois or ruling class is sometimes referred to be the bourgeoisie, and is seen to have significant influence over education and commerce. Education is one way to get into top economic strata, despite the fact that social mobility is tough. Indeed, education is highly priced in France, with a high degree of education requiring many higher paying jobs. And for the artistry is about deep knowledge and appreciation for the arts in France. Children are taught from a young age to value creativity and to be patient, since high quality work. The majority of individuals will remember this adoration for the rest of their life. And how foreigners see French culture. Okay, their green shake one another's hand and kiss each other. And the foreigner kinda weird when the French person do their culture. So that's the how the foreigners see the French culture. And that's all. Okay, thank you.
National culture is the word used to describe a group of individuals who were raised in a certain nation or country. In comparison to others, these people have similar ideas of how things should be done and values based on these expectations. To analyze France's national culture, six-dimension model of national culture by Gerd Hofstede will be used. In order to analyze the national culture of France effectively, the country will be compared with the United States national culture. The first dimension of Hofstede's six-dimension model is power distance. This dimension addresses the reality that not all people in civilization are equal. It represents the cultural stand toward this inconsistency among us. France scored 68 in power distance, which is considered quite high. To understand the reason behind this high number, we first need to see how the society in France works. The children of the country are expected to be emotionally dependent on their parents, then this dependency will continue to be passed to teachers and instructors. Lastly, the dependence is then passed to its superiors. As a result, France became a country where its society willingly accepts some inequality towards in their life as workers and superiors. The power distribution style can be seen not only in corporation and government structures but can also be seen geographically. For example, all the roads in French road network heads toward Paris. Compared to French culture, American culture scored 40 in power distance dimension. This means that France has a high variance in power or status culture compared to the United States. Since America scored lower in power distance, the country has a more equitable distribution of power compared to France. The second dimension of Hofstede's six-dimension model is individualism. This dimension basic concern is the degree of interconnectedness of a society maintains among its members. France, with a score of 71, is a society that values individualism. Parents teach their children to be emotionally independent of the communities to which they belong. This suggests that one should exclusively care about oneself and one's family. The French combination of a high power distance score and a high individualism score is fairly rare. Compared to France with a score of 71, United States has a higher number of 91 in individualism. This means that compared to the United States, France has a lower individuality and individual rights that are paramount within the society. The third dimension of Hofstede's six-dimension model is masculinity. A high score, which in this case masculine, on this dimension suggests that competition, accomplishment and success will drive society, whereby success is defined by the winner. This is a value system that begins in school and continues throughout organizational life. A low score, which defines feminine on this dimension, indicates that caring for others and quality of life are prevailing score in society. France has a feminine culture with a score of 43. At first glance, this may be indicated by its well-known welfare system, where the workers work 35 hours a week, 5 weeks of vacation each year, and emphasis on quality of life. However, another distinguishing feature of French culture is in its model. The top class is classified as feminine, whereas the working class is classified as masculine. This trait is unique to the United States because the disparity may be demonstrated by the fact that elite managers earn less on average than one would expect given their high power distance score. The fourth dimension of Hofstede's six-dimension model is uncertainty avoidance. Uncertainty avoidance refers to how a society deals with the knowledge that the future can never be known. French culture ranks high in uncertainty avoidance with a score of 86. This is plainly demonstrated that the French are not fond of surprises. Structure and planning are essential for this society. They prefer to have all relevant information before meetings and discussion. As a result, the French excel in developing complicated technologies and systems in a stable environment, such as nuclear power plants, high-speed trains, and aviation sector. Compared to France with a score of 86, United States has a lower score of 45 in uncertainty avoidance. This means that France tries to minimize the occurrence of unknown and unusual circumstances and to proceed with careful changes by planning and by implementing rules, law, and regulation compared to the United States. The fifth dimension of Hofstede's six-dimension model is long-term orientation. This dimension shows how every civilization must keep some ties to its own history while dealing with present and future concerns, and how cultures prioritize these two existential aims differently. France has a high score of 63 in this area, indicating that it is pragmatic. People in pragmatic civilization think that truth is highly dependent on situation, context, and time. Compared to France with 63 score, the United States has the lowest score with 62 in long-term orientation. This means that compared to the United States, France focuses on the future. It also means that France may place emphasis and values on persistence, perseverance, and adaptability. The last dimension of Hofstede's six-dimension model is indulgence. This dimension is characterized as the amount to which people attempt to regulate their urges and impulses as a result of their upbringing. France is in the middle with 48 score when it comes to indulgence versus restraint. This, along with a high uncertainty avoidance score, suggests that the French are less relaxed and enjoy life less frequently than is widely supposed. Compared to France with a score of 48, the United States has the highest score of 68 in indulgence. This means that Americans enjoy life and behave in accordance with basic human drive compared to French people. This also means that French people tend to regulate behavior and adhere to strict social norms.
Hi, my name is Sangeeta. I will be presenting the international norms and practice analysis. A French fine dining ethic and terminology. The first thing they will receive will be the canapés. Canapé is an appetizer consisting of a piece of bread, toast, or cracker topped with a savory spread. Canapé will be a very small bite that people will have just for them to wait until the order arrives. After that, their amuse-bouche will arrive. It is a small dish served as an appetizer before a meal. Then they will have a cold appetizer, les entrées froides, which is a small course appetizer and an entry into a meal. After the cold appetizer, they will have the hot appetizer immediately, which is les entrées. They will usually have cheese for the French dining experience. The next one is, it is called happy end. It is the mignon dishes, petit four, and chocolate. Next is never take wine to a dinner party. Taking a bottle of wine to a party may sound as a polite gesture in America, but not in France. This is because the dinner party host may think that we are judging his ability to host or serve wine, and we don't trust the host tasting or the host choice of wine will not suit us. C. Greeting. The most used informal greeting is salute. When we meet someone whom we know, such as our friends and family, we say salute. Salute means hi, hello, and goodbye. In informal greeting, the one we are probably used to hearing is usual bonjour. Literally, bonjour means good day. Bonjour can also mean good morning or good afternoon. During the afternoon, we say bonsoir. Bonsoir. Soir in French is evening, so bonsoir means good evening. In a formal situation, French people use au revoir. Au revoir means goodbye. There is an expression meaning see you soon that can be used in both formal and informal, which is à bientôt. Besides, In formal situations and whenever we meet someone for the first time, French people usually greet each other by shaking hands. And also, when they meet someone they know, they kiss each other on the both cheeks. D is ask for ice. Ice is not a common thing in France. French people like to drink their water and soft drinks at room temperature. So if we want to have it cold, we must ask for ice. E. Forget children's menu. There is no children's menu in France. French children consume the same food as their parents, such as scallops in curry sauce, seafood delicacies, lamb skewers, and chicken over couscous. France April Fool's Day. Fish is the ultimate topic of humor in French culture. Therefore, they call this day Poisson d'Avril, which means April fish. They stick paper on the back of others and then run away yelling Poisson d'Avril. The tradition of April fish dates back to 1564. Before then, the New Year started on the 1st of April. King Charles decided to move the New Year to the 1st of January. Those who continued to celebrate the end of the New Year at the end of March were mocked as fools. Celebrate Saint Catherine's Day. The French people celebrate Saint Catherine's Day on November 25th. Unmarried women above the age of 25 are expected to pray for her husband and be honored. They are called as Catherinettes. Their married friends give these Catherinettes yellow and green hat. They wear the hat the whole day. H. Do not speak too loudly. If you are in a public place, we should definitely use inner voices and avoid speaking too loudly, because the French undoubtedly have lower voices and are quite adverse to noise in general. Besides, drinking from a bowl at breakfast. The main drink in a typical French breakfast is coffee. It is served in a bowl. They drink from a bowl because they can have more of the drink and it is easier to dip in their croissant. J. Table manners. Continental table manners mandate that the fork is held in the left hand and the knife is held in the right hand. If you are at someone's house invited to lunch or dinner, the host must direct us to his or her seat because they may have planned seating arrangement. They must also wait for the host to say bon appetit before start to eat. Also, do not rest our elbows on the table. K. Be late to party. Arriving on time to a lunch or dinner party is considered rude. The host may be offended. They need time to be prepared for the party, so the French people should be late at least 15 to 20 minutes. The last one is vague superstitions. Good superstitions. 4-leaf clover. It is believed that finding a 4-leaf clover will bring you luck. It is because each leaf represents some quality including faith, hope, love, and the fourth one is luck. Number 2 is horseshoe. It is believed that hanging a horseshoe above your door will bring you luck. Some people believe that this is because they are made of iron, which is believed to keep evil spirits away. Knock on wood. Knock on wood is believed to be a good luck. It is because in ancient times, people used to believe that spirits or deities dwelled in trees and that knocking on or touching the tree would welcome them and protect one from misfortune. A shooting star. It is believed that if we make a wish while we see a shooting star, it will come true. Crossing finger. It is believed that crossing fingers is a sign of good luck. It is because crosses represent authority and togetherness in the pre-Christian era. The crosses center signified all that was good. People used to put wishes on it to keep evil at bay. Bad superstitions. The first one is Friday the 13th. French people believe that Friday the 13th is a day where bad things happen. It is because Friday is said to be an unlucky day and 13 is said to be the unlucky number. Second one is breaking a mirror. Like in a lot of other countries, breaking a mirror is considered bad luck. In France, it is believed that if someone breaks a mirror, they will be unlucky for 7 years. This is because the Romans believed that mirror contains someone's soul. Next is putting bread upside down on the table. In France, it is believed that putting bread upside down on a table will bring bad luck because people believe that we will invite famine into the household. To walk under a ladder. One theory is that a perched up ladder creates a triangle that resembles a trinity. A human being that went through the sacred space would profane it. Black cat. French people believe that seeing a black cat at night will bring bad luck. Some people believe that this is because black cats are incarnations of the devil. The last one is ironing underpants. Wives should never iron their husband's underpants whilst wearing a belt. It will lead to him suffering kidney pain. Thank you.
Hello, for the recommendations, as I can say here, is by the formal or non-formal learning process, which is I can be described in here. Firstly, students or the childrens or the adults, especially, or the teenagers, attitudes towards the formal or non-formal learning must be shaped as early as parents can to normalize their behavior or reshape their attitudes. Okay, to keep in mark here, this cross-cultural management education must be involved in a very early education level, which is can be starting by their family members. Other than we just pass it into the teachers, their friends, or neighbors, or the babysitters. Okay. Next is the non-formal learning environment that can be one of aspect to impact their attitude. So it's like a coin that have two sides of it, which can be shaped into a good side or a bad side. So this cross-cultural management also can be seen a little bit different in our daily life. So next is the observation. Observation is more like it's still a non-formal learning process. It's just assume you observe the situation. This person is going to be on this side. Is reacting like a very aggressive way. But on this side, the person, or especially that you person that you observe, like a parent, like this situation, he approached like a very gentle way to solve the problem. So you can already decide which technique, which attitude, which behavior is more significant, which more common sense attitude that will pleasure to all another person, so not affecting their behavior impressions toward people in very good and positive ways. Lastly, for recommendation is not to be afraid of silence. Well, we can say that silence is a little bit a strategic weapon in communications respect in a many Asian countries. So I can say here that silence, when silence is about when you talk something, you in silence suddenly you just assume that, am I say wrong? Am I said something like cannot be acceptable by any other person? So by maintaining awareness of a various form of a body language can assist avoid of miscommunications. Some Latin American and Mediterranean cultures allow for a lot of gesturing which also can be mistaken as reached by non-native speakers. So other than you afraid to be speak, so you can use your body language in the cross-cultural management. So like, I want to eat, I want to drink, you can be silent. So that's all for recommendation. Okay, for conclusion, France is a very Western European country that is also known as the French Republic. So France has experienced notable stability since its form on the September 28 on 1958. So the capital of France is Paris, which is very famous, and it has become the one of most important centers globally. So for the further info, France having Catholicism as a main their religion and being survey conducted. Parisians also used to refer to France as two half like Paris or Le Desert.
Next is it can be challenging to negotiate France conversations and practices. So like bonjour literally translate to a good day, and bonsoir means a good evening. French people frequently like shaking hands, kiss each other on both cheeks, which is can be a little bit culture shock or like awkward situation, especially towards the people like foreign games like another people, especially on our Muslim, that culture is cannot be ultimately used, especially when we like opposite gender. So we have to like mahram situation. So if we do this like culture, we can only do like the same gender, like I'm with my friend's girlfriend, so I can do that, shake hands and kiss each other on cheeks, but I cannot do that on my boyfriend or my like boyfriends. So I cannot do like shaking hands, kiss in their cheeks. So that's it. So other than that, in French culture, fish is the ultimate source of hilarity. This is known as a poison antiviral, which translates to acrophage. It also a customary for the media to spread a fake news only to disclose the hoaxes the next day. So, on the foreigner side, when you say that French culture, there are some aspect that it can be what wow is very unique, and other than a little bit awkward, like I said before. But there is still some cultures that are the same as other cultures. So, like shaking hands is very a good like reaching each other, like hello, shaking hands together, like how are you. Shaking hands is a very polite that culture that can be same as our Muslims. So we are very use the same culture but on the same gender only. So after we compare with the United States and France is a little bit higher than the US in aspect of individualism, masculinity and indulgence. So thank you.